Welcome to the LukeBelmar Vault. Lately there's been a lot of data sets released. I do my best to make sure that I upload. So, from me to you, enjoy this profound gem. And from you to me, a view equals a like. This helps the video rank, so that many other glitches can find the data set. Also do subscribe. Thank you.
The reason people have a hard time making money is because they have a hard time identifying the skill sets and the qualities that they've developed that give them the ability to make money. What do I mean by this? I mean that people are often focused on what they don't have as opposed to what they do have. I don't have the connections. I don't have the network. I don't have the access. I don't have the money. I don't have. Well, if you don't have anything, you have nothing to lose, my friend, right? So if you're in a situation whereby you have nothing to lose, you have to figure out what do you have that you can't give up in perpetuity. You can't give up, and we talk about this consistently, your time, energy, and attention. Those three things belong to you. It is within your willpower. However, what you need to understand, first of all, with attention, is that social media companies, digital platforms, media has mastered the art of persuasion, has mastered the ability to mass manipulate. So they can control what? Your focus, where your attention is directed. Because where you direct your attention, well, that's where your energy and input will go. And I often say this, where attention goes, money flows, because that's where people are doing commerce. But what happens when you're in a situation whereby you're looking at the negatives instead of looking at the positives? Well, you can never grow because you're perceiving the world from a lens of need. I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, instead of realizing that you live on an abundant planet and all the resources and opportunities that are available to others are also available to you if you develop the skill sets, the network, the resources, and the abilities that give you the wherewithal to capitalize on the opportunity. It's like seeing a gold mine, right? But then not having the tools to be able to excavate and extract the gold. The gold mine becomes worthless. It's like seeing a big diamond that you would have to carry with 3 or 4 individuals and you have to carry it across a desert. Well, unless you have a truck or unless you have something to carry this precious vehicle of wealth, then it means nothing. It's the same way with your dreams, with your ambitions, with your desires. Unless you have the skill sets and the vehicles developed and tested to succeed, because you don't have a second time around in life. Like it's you go around and that's it. So there is no do-overs, there is no second shots, there is no retries in the marketplace, there is no retries in life. So you need to make sure that the methodologies that you adopt, that the principles that you embody, that the negativity that you withdraw from your mindset, the positivity and abundance that you insert into your mindset is all designed under the premise of knowing that you don't get a second fucking shot. So if you don't get a second shot, instead of being a naysayer and looking at the things that you don't have, look at the things that you do have and ask yourself, what can I do with that which I have? To whom much is given, much is required. So if you start with little and you can prove yourself and prove that you can manage a little, if you can't manage one virtual assistant, if you can't manage yourself, how are you going to become a billionaire? If you can't manage yourself, if you can't manage your emotional regulatory state, if you can't manage how to regulate your emotions, how to regulate the way that you interact with individuals, how are you supposed to lead? You're not. So a lot of you guys are looking at what you don't have instead of realizing that you have things like your time, energy, attention, focus, your ability to show up on time, your ability to give it 110% every time you come. You don't need money for that. You don't need money to be the first one to show up. You don't need to be money to be the last one to leave. You don't need money to be the hardest working. You don't need money to be the dependable person. You don't need money to be the most giving individual. You don't need money for those things. Having money is a bullshit illusion and a cope excuse for failures of individuals that are undeveloped to say that all their problems rely on the system. When the system, guess what? It doesn't give a fuck about anybody. The system is the system. It has no individual bias towards me. If you think the system gives a fuck about you as an individual unit, they don't. They don't think about you. You're just a number attached with a little ID. You're literally cattle. So when you understand that, you begin to operate and navigate under a new mindset. And the new mindset is not what I don't have, but what do I do have? And how can I capitalize on what I have to get to my objectives? Because what I do have is my vehicle. So if my vehicle is not optimized, then my dreams, my goals, my ambitions will not be accomplished. Focus today, ladies and gentlemen, write down, what am I good at? I'm good at sales. I'm good at marketing. I show up. I'm organized. I file my taxes right. I'm a person of integrity. All these things, write them down. These are all traits, winning traits of you. And if you capitalize on these traits, you, my friend, are creating a better vehicle to accomplish your objectives. So back to the beginning. The reason most people make no money is because they don't understand how to build the vehicle for money, which is them, right? They are the vehicle for money. They are the vehicle for opportunity. The business, the people around it, right? The organization, that's all just addition to the person that is in charge. That is the data set, my friends. Walk with truth, walk with power. Focus on developing the vehicle, the vessel that can channel your dreams into actual fulfillment. And I think you are one step closer to a better life. And if you don't know how to develop these invaluable, priceless, incredible, life-changing skill sets that can give you a better vehicle to move ahead, well then Capital Club will give you the tools necessary to help you become that vehicle and that individual. That's the data set. Have a blessed day.
The following is a data set that is similar to today's. If you were only here for the one released today, that was the end of it. Good luck.
But I did want to chop it up with you guys for a couple minutes, talk business, talk money, see how you guys are doing, and kind of go from there. But anyways, so I'm back on the island. As you guys know, I live in the Caribbean due to the simple fact that it's 0% tax on capital gains out here. So, you know, let's say I make a trade with Bitcoin and I make $50,000, right? I get to keep all of it. In the US, you would have to pay a nice percentage of it out to the mafia. But when you live in certain jurisdictions or if you have certain nationalities, there's a ton of countries out there that in fact don't have capital gains. They don't recognize that as a form of income, which is really nice. But the United States and Australia are the two countries that really enforce like this global tax policy, which they kind of chase you around regardless of where you go. But anyways, I was sitting down. Was it yesterday? I think I wanted to go live yesterday, but I decided to change it for some reason. I'm not sure why. But I was sitting down and I was just thinking about like how difficult is it truly to win? So I sat down and it was like, how difficult is it to actually win? If you gauge winning in life, right, by a simple standard, good health, good finances, good relationships, good mental space, and working towards a purpose, I think you could define that as somebody that's winning. Because most people aren't even doing that, right? So you end up being in a situation whereby you can actually set a plan towards winning and actually win. I can't guarantee that you'll become the best, but I can guarantee that you'll be better than where you currently are in any realm of your life, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, and it all boils down to two ingredients. And these two ingredients, I think when I was sitting down, I was like, wow, if people actually implemented these three ingredients on a day-to-day basis, they would end up being in a situation where they can actually craft a plan of success. The first ingredient, that I think if people apply these two ingredients in a rigorous fashion as a stepping stool to their success and they incorporate it as a habit in their life, they can actually win. I genuinely, guys, and I'm sympathetic to the fact that there's a lot of people that started their journey with nothing, right? With no connections, no relationships, no handouts. But the truth is, as long as you have access to the internet and you can afford a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription, then do you truly have an excuse? It's really hard for me to justify not winning. Regardless, and there's spectrums to this, right? On the top echelon, you have people that will never have to work from the day that they're born, and then on the bottom side of the echelon, you have people that literally have to walk 10 miles in order for them to get drinking water, right? So on the lower side of the spectrum, I don't speak to these individuals that, they don't have access to the internet, they don't have cell phones, they are in war-torn countries. The mindset is different, right? The mindset is survive. It's not thrive. But once you can get out of surviving and you have the luxury and the commodity of thriving, then that's something that you need to activate. And the first way that you really activate it is with intentionality. I said 2 ingredients, but in fact it's 3. The first one is intentionality. Like, if you actually sat down there and set a goal up for yourself, like actually went out there and said, you know what, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and I'm gonna create 100 pieces of content, but for what reason? A lot of these people on the internet that talk, that give advice, they tell you what to do, but there's no train of thought and there's no process as to why you should do it. And that's a self-realization that you have to obtain, because maybe you're doing it because you want to become somebody else. And that's where the fallacy lies, is in the inability that people have to be intentional towards what they want in life. So, I'll be frank with you guys. When I used to not have a lot of money, I was in a situation whereby my first objective was to become a millionaire, right? Like, that was the objective. That's a good objective. Like, it's a number that you can hit. It's a specific metric that is attainable. And then once I hit the $1 million liquid net profit in my bank, I was like, oh shit, like I didn't really have a goal. Like, that was just a marker, an objective, but the goal should be much bigger, right? The goal should be that this idea of becoming a millionaire is just is part of the equation. This keeps you on your toes, sharp and intentional long term, right? Because what happened to me is I made my first $1 million and I didn't do anything for like 3 months. I just kind of just sat around. Why? Because I hit my goal. So I hit my goal because I was intentional about having one. But when I literally sit down with most people, they talk to me and fuck, bro. Like, I ask them about their goals, guys, and I'll be frank with you. I even sit down and talk with guys that are doing multiple 8 figures, even 9 figures, and I ask them, like, okay, what's the game plan? And they don't really have a game plan, like, it's important to establish intentionality. Intentionality leads to a game plan. A game plan leads to a set of procedures that allow you to vet or foresee potential potholes or fuck ups or opportunities so that you can reroute. And then through this intentionality and this planning, you can establish your strategy. I was talking with Gary Brecka. If you guys aren't familiar with Gary Brecka, he's a leading biohacker that works with Grant Cardone, and he was telling me, how he trains UFC athletes, and at this point, the UFC athletes, they're not what they used to be, 10, 12, 15 years ago, which is random people from random sports coming together to see who's going to be the ultimate fighting champion in different styles. No, nowadays these athletes, they're getting curated and trained and basically bred to be gladiators. Now, why do I make this point? The reason I make this point is because when he was describing what the fighters kind of really look like nowadays, he talks about this idea of chess, right? Like they look like chess players. They know how they're going to move. They know what they want to do ahead of time, and they really plan for it. So if people plan for a fight, and even this concept of fighting becomes optimized through strategy and through planning, I would argue that it's the same in your life, right? You need to establish a strategy and a plan of action so that you are in charge. Once you establish intentionality and you have a direction, then you have to move towards consistency, right? The consistency of what? The execution of the plan. And in the consistency is where you actually win the game. And the consistency is where the marathon really displays who did their work and who was just lucky. Anybody can go out there and do $1 million in a month on a Shopify store. It doesn't mean that they can repeat it in perpetuity for their entire life. And that's the difference between somebody that's hustling and somebody that understands the skill set of making money. And one of the ingredients to making money, ladies and gentlemen, is consistency. You know, I see so many people spend their first money, flex their first money, become outrageously arrogant after they achieve their first money, and they don't really realize that the money is just the byproduct of consistently doing a repeated set of actions over an extended period of time that will allow you to achieve a certain objective or output. So on your first sector, you have this idea of intentionality, really planning out your goals. So the reason I tell you this is because if I ask most of you guys what are your goals financially, physically, relationally, and to really write them out detailed for me, most of you guys would not be able to do that. But if you want to achieve a certain life, you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. So once you've achieved a state of intentionality, you have committed to a format of consistency that allows you to span an extended period of time, an extensive period of time, as opposed to burning out quickly because you're a one-hit wonder. The final ingredient should I reveal it? I want a little alien emoji, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a little alien emoji. By the way, we're gonna do 3 Q&As after this before we wrap up. 3 Q&As. I'm gonna get 3 people on video, so you might want to stay till the end because we're gonna bring 3 people up. Give me the alien emoji, ladies and gentlemen. What do you guys think it is? What is the third ingredient to this trifecta? Because I was sitting there last night, I was like, dude, like, is it really that difficult to win? You ready? Believing that you can. Wow, well, that was a science. Believing that you can. Do you believe that you can? In the deepest parts of your heart, when you look at success, when you look at an ideal life, do you believe it? Like, do you truly deep down believe that you deserve to win? That you deserve success? And the reason I mention this, guys, is because the system is designed you to have a lack of belief for you to be a naysayer. Guys, look at the internet. Look at the internet. When somebody who's successful loses or fails, everybody cheers. Everybody celebrates. Everybody's happy when somebody loses money or they fumble a big bag. But when somebody does extremely well, most people look at that with disdain and they hate it, or they become jealous because they can't believe that they themselves can achieve that same thing. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, do that right now, okay? I dare you. I dare you. I dare you, my friend. I dare you, my friend. Can I dare you to something? Can I take you guys up on a challenge? I'm going to show you guys something that's going to make you really begin to understand how to unlock the self-belief. I want you guys to go to a mirror. Go to a mirror for me. In fact, I have a mirror in front of me, so I'm actually going to do it with you guys. Look at yourself in the mirror. Okay? Ready? Look at yourself and say this. You ready? Look at yourself in the mirror. And you have to believe this. Even if it means lying to yourself. Okay? Look at yourself in the mirror. Truly. You see, you guys think that I'm just talking out of my ass, right? That the things that I say, they don't work, but they fucking work. Like, they work. So look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're doing a good job. You are doing a good job. Keep it up. I believe in you. You're going to consistently pursue your goals. You're going to be intentional about winning. I believe in you. I believe in you. You have to have these conversations with yourself. You have to believe that you were created for something amazing. If you were created to be average and you believe that you're just average, then you will just do average things. You understand? So end up being in a situation where you focus on believing in your potential. Validate this belief through a consistent realization of habits that will solidify any sort of positivity and will reject any sort of negativity that comes into your mental real estate about your capabilities of achieving your goal. Consistency will give you that validation. And then finally, you need to finally have that plan so that you know where you're going whenever you're shaky or you lose confidence. But you have to believe that you can get to where you want to go. You have to believe that with enough consistency of input, you will achieve it. And you have to believe that you have what it takes. No man ever ended up at the top of the mountain by accident, my friend. No man, no woman ever ended up at the top of the mountain by accident. They didn't just get dropped there. There's a process of climbing. There's a process of self-development. There's a process of growth. And there's a process of believing that you can. And that belief is something that you have to earn. So as I was sitting there and I was like, can everybody, like, because I see it on the internet, right? Like I see it on the internet. And sometimes these thoughts, they interject with my mind. right? These thoughts that people have, these comments that I see on the internet, and people say stuff like, not everybody can make 10K a month. And I sit there and I ask myself, do I believe that statement that that person just made, that not everybody can make 10K a month? Like, do I believe that statement to be true? 10,000 US dollars a month. Or what that monetary value represents, right? Like what that represents in whatever currency, but in purchasing power. And my answer remains yes. Am I just crazy? Do I believe too much? Or is it actually possible with enough dedication and a good enough plan, enough work, enough build towards your personal development, your relationships, towards the accomplishment of your plan? You have no distractions. You have no excuses. You really can't do it. Like, does it make me a liar, a con artist, to say that I think people can make money online? I think people can create a good lifestyle that isn't bound to a low-paying 9-to-5. I would argue that with enough dedication, consistency, planning, belief, iteration, and development, you can achieve this goal. So the question is, do you believe, my friend? Do you believe? But I wanted to come up here, chop it up with you guys for about 30 minutes. As you guys know, I'm headed actually to LA this week. So I'm back on the road this week. As you guys know, Capital Club is opening up this summer. Little secret for you guys in here. My $369 price for $1 a day is only going to be open for like 2 or 3 days, and then I'm changing it. So hopefully you guys get lucky, because I'm not going to announce that until the last minute. So you guys have a heads up there. But anyways, that's besides the point. Capital Club opening in a couple weeks this summer. You guys are about to be fucking mind blown. It's gonna be sick. Headed to LA, shooting some crazy content with some crazy people, guys. Crazy people. Look forward to sharing that with you, both inside of Capital Club and outside of Capital Club. And yeah, man, I really believe that you guys can crush it with a good network, a good group of people around you, intentionality towards setting goals, pursuing your goals, hitting your goals, crushing your goals, and then not worrying about the output, just really focusing on the input and believing that you can. And I said it once, I'll say it a million times. Sometimes you need others to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. So I believe in you guys. I think you guys are doing great. Keep your heads up. Q3 is on the way. Q4 is on the way next. So it's time to prepare. It's time to be ahead of the game. Oh, somebody said, do we pay monthly or annually, Luke Belmar? We're doing annual, guys. Annual. Capital Club is a membership. Capital Club is a club, a digital experience, a physical experience, an entrepreneurial environment. So Capital Club is a yearly membership. A wise man once said, do long-term business with long-term people. So I'm here to do long-term business with long-term people. Hopefully you guys are as well. So without further ado, love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Consistency, intentionality towards your plan, execution in the intentionality, execution in the consistency, and finally, the belief that you can. The belief. And in that wavering of that belief that sometimes comes with doubt and insecurity, you crush and you invalidate that disbelief with your consistency and with your results. So without further ado, appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Capital Club coming in the next coming weeks. If you haven't signed up to the wait list, we have over 75,000 people on the wait list. It's crazy. Crazy. And I'm not letting everybody in either. So 75,000 people on the wait list. It's going to be nuts. But I'll see you guys in there. Link in bio. Check that shit. And yeah, I think there's a link there for you guys to whitelist. But yeah, that's about it. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. I was going to do Q&A, but I don't feel like it. Maybe I'm going to save it for when I'm in LA or something like that. All right. Appreciate you guys. It's a beautiful day. It's Saturday, beach day. I'm literally a couple steps away from the beach. I would show you guys the beach, but then you'll know where I am, so I can't do that right now. I'll do that once I leave. Anyways, peace, ladies and gentlemen. See you guys on the next one. Nobody's going to tell you this. Nobody is going to be in a situation where they are going to be willing to compromise their livelihood to tell you the truth. There's very few. There's very few. But I have nothing to lose, really. My financial state is secure whether I open up my mouth or not at this point. So it's interesting, I started opening up my mouth recently about some things. A lot of you guys were asking about East Palestine, Ohio. As soon as I get back, I post that vlog. I have my bank accounts frozen, right? My bank accounts get frozen. Money gets frozen. Not just frozen, it gets deleted, right? It gets deleted. And then as I do an investigation, the government pulled that money, right? And, well, it was just a mistake, right? It ended up just being a mistake. Oops, and then the money just showed up again. And then some of my apps also got banned. Some of my cards got banned. My ability to process with some credit cards got banned. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happens. So when people are asking for updates, that there's other situations that are at hand beyond making another YouTube video. So please be conscientious. So then I was like, okay, maybe Bitcoin is the solution. But then you begin to study Bitcoin and the history of Bitcoin. You're like, shit. Like, maybe Bitcoin was created by the NSA, right? Maybe there is a backdoor to Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't as private as people think. So if money's not secure and crypto's full of scams, which we know, look at FTX. I lost money in FTX. I lost money in Celsius. A lot of you guys lost a ton of money. I have buddies that lost $10 million, $15 million on FTX. And as you guys listened to my conversation, I don't know if you did or not, my data set with the formal head of the Central Bank of Albania, where I had a conversation with him and I asked him, is crypto money? Is Bitcoin money? Not crypto, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin money. He said, well, ultimately, yes, Bitcoin is money, but Bitcoin follows the policies of the central bank. Because where the fuck is this liquidity going to come from, right? This liquidity doesn't just come from anywhere. It directly comes from the policies of the central banks. So as much as we like to believe that Bitcoin is sovereign, it is still tied to the dictatorship of the few. So if money's not safe, if freedom of speech is not safe, if the school system is programming you, then what is it that you have left? Two things. You have two things, ladies and gentlemen. And these are the two things you need to focus on. Hear me out. Write these two things down and focus your entire natural life developing these two things. Ready? Write this down. Number one, inflation-proof skills. You need to develop skill sets that are resistant to inflation or stagnation or a recession or a depression, in fact. So what are some skills that you can develop that are going to allow you to be in a situation where you are protected? Because if your confidence lies anywhere outside of your skill set, per se, in the marketplace, then you're fucked. Because right now, a lot of you guys have a lot of trust in the fiat system because you've been conditioned to trust the fiat system. When you look at the dollar bill and it says, "In God we trust," who's this God? Who is this God? It ain't the God of the Bible. I can tell you that for sure. You understand? The money is the God. So your trust is in the money and the God that they've created, that you worship, that you spend your entire life chasing. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, Luke, you just got rich off of crypto." Brother, I don't give a fuck how I got rich. Do you hear me? I got rich and I got out. That's the goal. So you need to develop skill sets that are inflation resistant. Your ability to sell. Your ability to create. Your ability to network. What do I mean by create? Create is being able to take two different things, and you can't technically create something, right? The word create comes from a term known as ex nihilo, which is something out of nothing. So technically we can't create anything. We just reform things, energy, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. We know this is one of the laws of thermodynamics. So how do you take energy and reformat these things? Your ability to think critically and logically. Guys, ask yourself, why the fuck? Like, I know we have people from all over the world, but everybody has like constitutions, right? Everybody has their constitutions. Why the fuck has nobody taught you your Bill of Rights? Why do you think they didn't teach you the Constitution of the United States in the school? They didn't teach you these things. Why? Because they only taught you enough to make you feel like you're educated, but in fact, they led you astray. Because fucking studying the rocks and shit, sure, it may be cool for a few people, but for most people, it's not going to make a difference. Studying the clouds and studying all this stuff, like, okay, sure, it may be interesting for some of you guys. That's fine. But teach me how to balance a fucking checkbook. Teach me what the fuck are taxes. Some of you guys are in your 30s, in your late 20s. You've yet to sit down and read your Bill of Rights. So when people ask me, "Luke, what are you reading?" Dude, I'm reading the dictionary. I'm trying to understand what the terms and definitions are of things. I'm studying the Bill of Rights. I'm reading the Constitution. Oh, Luke, that's stupid. That's crazy. Sometimes you have to be crazy in a world that is extremely normal. The crazy ones are then in the future revered as geniuses. Leonardo da Vinci, at a given time, he was considered a freak, considered a genius by very few. But he famously said, Leonardo da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the art of science and study the science of art. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. So when this genius says, to develop a complete mind, you need to realize that things connect to each other, and that what you do in a certain area of life applies to every other area of life. Why did nobody ever teach you about health? Who the fuck came up with the food pyramid, telling you that starches and grains were the most essential and healthy part of your diet, yet everybody here is dying? They told you that the was healthy. Now people are dying left, right, and center. I can't even mention it. I'll probably get blacklisted again. You understand? But I don't give a fuck anymore. So let's just be real. Anyways, the first thing is you need to develop inflation-proof skills. How do you network with people? How do you sell?
How do you communicate? How do you perceive that which cannot be seen with the common eye? How do you develop a complete mind? A complete mind isn't only focused on money. You understand? If you're so one-dimensional, you're never going to win at life. The second thing is your network. Because the definition mastermind originated from this concept of uniting many minds together to form collectively a mastermind. A mastermind is multiple minds coming together and expressing opinions and points of view that potentially are contradictory to each other, that are opposing each other's views, that cause friction and stress, but that polish each other through consistent refinement. Iron sharpens iron, we know this. As I walked through the Parthenon in Greece last year, and the sun was setting on the ocean, and I could see the sun beaming through these pillars, these white, beautiful pillars. I just imagined the Stoics sitting there conversing, dialoguing, arguing about the intricacies of life. And I realized there's a new era that is upon us, the era of the digital Stoics, where you're no longer afraid to give your opinion, where you're no longer afraid to stand by truth, that you're okay messing up, that you understand that failure is just a construct of the system to keep you from trying, that if you surround yourself with winners, you will inevitably become a winner. Somebody said there's no ocean in Greece. Call it a sea. Does it really make a difference? You see, these are the problems with people. People are so focused on the nuances that they don't seem to understand the bigger picture. They're caught up in the semantics and the words that they neglect the principles that I'm trying to convey. Don't be so botted. Understand that language is just a construct. As long as my message is communicated clearly, you need to understand that communication is not what one says, but what the other person understands, right? That's what communication is. So as long as my point came across clearly, then we're in the green. So let me ask you again, what are the inflation-proof skills that you are developing? And what is the network that you have around you? And what is the intentionality that you're going to apply to make sure that you do not end up in the situation that 99% of the world is in? I posted on my Instagram story just now. I'm here chilling on this beautiful lounge chair, 5-star hotel in Hong Kong. Just got back from all-you-can-eat Japanese Wagyu. And I look down and you have the highway here. Traffic jam. Everybody coming back from their 9 to 5. When you begin to realize that in the feudal times, the peasants had more time off than most of the people working a 9 to 5. Go look it up. Go look how many days peasants had off to just fuck off and do whatever they wanted. So as much as you call them peasants, they had more freedom than 99% of the world. It requires a lot of honesty and a lot of self-reflection. Something that most of you guys have yet to do. Mark Twain famously said, "It is easier to deceive a person than to convince a person that they have been deceived." So let me ask you, have you been deceived? Have you been lied to as to how the world works? Have you been lied to as to what is the solution of life. Now, most of you guys say, you know what, invest in a 401k, you know, making $400,000 a year puts you in the top 1%. Brother, but $400,000 a year can't even buy you a house. Well, yeah, you can buy a house. Yeah, if you go to the fucking bank who printed the money out of thin air and request a loan. So when you begin to evaluate what your money's worth, you can't even buy a house. You can barely buy a car. Yet somehow you assume that you're secure and that you're safe. It is a false construct, ladies and gentlemen. It is a limiting ideology. And people come in and out, which shows you people do not even have the brain capacity or the brain power to stop for a few minutes and to listen. They're so on this TikTok bullshit all day, instant dopamine, that they're just rats running through the maze, cogs of the machine. But hopefully you're different. For your own sake, I don't give a fuck. As much as I care, the quality of my life is impacted very little by your decisions. But your decisions impact the quality of your life to the fullest. So please, take some time and have some self-reflection. Nobody's going to do it for you. Go study the origins of a 401k. Oh, invest in a 401k. What the fuck do you think is a 401k? You don't even know, and you're dumping money into it. We have this idea of as when you retire, you have a social security pension or whatever the fuck this is, and then you start looking at social security and they're fucking bankrupt. And then you start looking at the insurance that you have at a bank that is FDIC insured, and FDIC is insured by the good faith and credit of the United States of America. It's insured by nothing. Nothing. So much so that when presidents arise, like Lincoln, or like Kennedy, JFK, and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we gotta get rid of this fiat system. They end up with a bullet on their heads. Go study the story of the greenback dollars. Go study the history of the silver-backed dollars from the Treasury. And you'll realize that there is a big agenda going on. And that if you believe that you know a lot, then you already lost. The more that you know, the more you should realize that you know nothing. So once again, I ask you, what does your network look like? And what type of skill sets are you focused on developing? Oh, well, Luke, I need money. Then maybe learn the skill set on how to make money. Oh, Luke, I'm trapped. I'm in debt. Do you understand how many DMs I get every fucking day? Hundreds of DMs every single day. Luke, I'm broke. Lend me some money. Luke, I don't know what to do. Go pick up a fucking damn book, dude. What do you think? I'm going to give you a little piece of advice and you're going to apply it and your life is going to change? That's not how reality works, dude. You are today where you are based off of the decisions that you have. At the age of 18, I began to understand these concepts and develop my network. I've been at this game for a decade almost. It takes time, but you need to get started where you are today. Sure, maybe you have no money right now. Maybe you can't go and get into a room with people that are worth tens of millions of dollars. Maybe you can't, like myself, sit down tomorrow and interview 2 e-commerce giants that do $100 million a year. But maybe you can go and find a mentor that's making $100,000 Maybe you can go surround yourself with a group of friends that are actually ambitious and want to go to the gym instead of going out and partying. But you need to put yourself in these situations. I hear people being like, oh, I live in X, Y, and Z country. There's nobody here that wants to network. There's no real entrepreneurs. In every country, there's people with money. In every country, there's people with ambition. There may be less in some countries than others, but they're still there. Welcome to the age of the internet. And if you don't believe that there is, well, you already lost. It's like you going into the game already assuming that you lost the game, might as well not even play. So anyways, those are a few data sets I wanted to impart on you.